All right, so today I was at the studio and I'm working with Russ on, well, it's actually really meticulous stuff. It's just taking a book that he's already published and sort of reformatting it. And so it's like inching the pages that we scanned like this much and then like removing the page numbers because we're combining two of the books. And in the meantime, I was listening to Cricket in Times Square, which I'm supposed to be reading and sort of listening to because I'm going to be teaching kids to read this summer. And so I'm sort of learning about that book, which is exciting, and trying to figure out how to teach it. So thinking about how I'm going to do that. But also, the other project that I'm working on at the same time is the wheelchair project. So I met with Luda today. I went to her apartment and we talked through some of the different sort of mechanics of how we're going to do this. I think what we're going to end up doing is building about a 4 foot by 4 foot sort of PVC and fabric tube. Well, not tube, maybe cube. But it's going to be like a hallway for our installation. And so I got to go and get some PVC pipe, and we're going to do it with spandex, like I did when I did I did a show with Russ. Our Arrival Live series was we did it with PVC and spandex. We might project on the side the videos that I put up about the chair and so we might project that on the side. But then we were talking about maybe having other stuff in there. She's been doing some writing projects, so we might put some of those like writings in there, sort of just sharing her perspective. I mean, the whole piece is really about perspective, so, but we haven't figured it all out yet. But that's where we're kind of at on that project. And then the other thing I've been working on is I want to publish a piece. And so I've been sort of batting around the idea about, I think probably what has shaped me as a scholar, as well as just a person in general, is the fact that I was in joint custody for 10 years. So I never lived in one place for more than 5 days at a time, at the very most. Most of the time it was like 1 day here, 2 days there, 3 days here, 5 days there, 1 day here, right? Like it was like back and forth crazy like that. And so what I'm interested in looking at as sort of a performance scholar is this idea of these very like liminal identities that people who are in joint custody have. Other populations that have been looked at using performance have been either people in sort of borderlands, who are of two cultures, or people of various sexualities or genders, the way that they live and sort of are betwixt and between, quote unquote, in their lives in these very liminal spaces. But from everything I've found, I haven't found anything that's talked about kids who are in joint custody. And I think the joint is naturally sort of a good metaphor for liminality, and that liminality sort of speaks to that sort of threshold idea or that hinge or that door space. And so I've been doing a ton of research on that. I've been looking through all sorts of articles about being in joint custody, how custody decisions come down, but also I was given a couple articles that talk about performativity as well as sort of materiality, and like that sort of reality that it is about whose body actually got moved through space via these various legal documents. And I actually have the legal documents. I have the custody agreement from my parents, which is really strange, in fact. And as I was reading the custody agreement, it's strange the way that it describes the children. And of course the word is sort of ironic. It says minor, given the fact that, a lot of times in divorce, children are somewhat of a minor concern. Although, in my parents' case, like I was talking with my grandpa about it last night, and, he was like, you're really fortunate that your parents both fought for you. And I super am. And at the same time, I'm so thankful for my parents and so thankful that they were loving and things. But it was a very transitory 10 years of my life where I just was bounced around like a ping pong ball. So anyway, so I'm exploring that, and that's sort of probably what I've spent most of my energy on. I've had a lot going on this week, sort of as a person. So just kind of focusing on that, and those are sort of the projects I'm working on. And we'll see how they go. All right, you all have a good night.